Sometimes just one particular element of the scene, if it's not done right, that's the kind of thing that makes it look a little fake or not particularly believable. For smoke, for tire dust kick up. All the kinds of things that make a game look real, all the type of things that tie objects together in a scene. Those are real problems, and those are problems that give the game a signature look. Codemasters are a very long-standing UK-based games developer and publisher, been around for over 20 years.
We've been making console and importantly PC games for a really large portion of that time. So our relationships with people like Intel are critical to enable us to deliver amazing experiences.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
They're responsible for Touring Car, for Colin McRae, for Formula One, and they won a BAFTA with Grid 1.
Winning the BAFTA for Grid 1 was an amazing achievement, I guess on a personal and a team level. We all worked really, really hard on that game to make it the best racing experience that we could at its time. I think it was a huge validation of all the work that we put in, and obviously a validation that people loved the experience that we delivered to them.
Grid 2 looked to expand on the original. The first Grid was a classic, but if you're going to do that sort of justice, then you have to look to expand in sort of lots of different areas and really kind of push the boundaries.
At its heart, the game still has the same values as the first title. You know, that fast, dramatic car racing action. What we want to get across is the way in which cars actually handle, make players feel they're really behind the wheels of those cars.
For the last decade or so, Intel CPUs have been the CPUs of choice for gaming, and many people have chosen discrete cards to match up with those superb CPUs. These days, ever since Sandy Bridge, you've seen great gaming performance on our GPUs, and with this next generation introduced in 2013, we see fourth generation gameplay which is just awesome. Intel has put more emphasis on graphics and the fourth generation core processors than we've ever done before. And we bring DX Extensions, which actually solve problems which games programmers have been trying to address for a significant handful of years.
So the new Directx Extensions from Intel are an opportunity for us to go beyond what DirectX in isolation can provide. So it's an opportunity for us to put some features into the game that really push what DirectX and what the hardware itself is capable of.
These new extensions give users a couple of key benefits. So firstly, we've got the DRA, the direct resource access. What that gives us is the ability to communicate directly between the CPU and the GPU. What this means is we can start thinking about things such as morphological anti-aliasing. Intel's done a paper, for example, showing that you can do that faster on the CPU than the GPU. For us, the key use is with our dynamic vertex buffers. So we use things such as our particle system, vehicle damage and ground cover, and we can get that data over to the GPU quicker using DRA. For the UAV serialization, the other extension, that allows Codemasters to implement a real-time order-independent transparency effect.
When I first got involved in 3D graphics, people talked about order-independent transparency, and it's been a holy grail along with global illumination. You can do it now on Intel's hardware.
Order-independent transparency is a method that we can use to draw lots of semi-transparent objects on top of each other. Historically, what's happened in games is you sort those objects from back to front and you draw them in that order, and then it becomes a very complicated problem.
Order-independent transparency tries to solve the problem of multiple alpha-blended polygons all overlapping. What it involves is building per-pixel lists and storing the transmittance of light passing through that pixel. The Intel extension allows us to do this quickly and efficiently.
And the end result is that those transparent objects look convincing and they're being rendered in exactly the right way.
So one of the extensions from Intel allows you to implement what's called AVSM, Adaptive Volumetric Shadow Maps. For most volumes, they're not transparent, they're objects, and you don't have to worry about shadows going through them. And that's the kind of limitation that works with shadow maps generally. They don't deal with transparent objects. This new AVSM gives the ability for the shadowing system to participate properly with the transparent system, so that you can have shadows falling on glass, they can fall on smoke systems, particle systems, water, etc. You can see transparent objects, transparent systems, all interacting with each other correctly. The world looks like the world. It's not full of artifacts, it's not full of limitations where the programmer wasn't allowed to do this or that. And we give you smooth frame rates, we give you high frame rates, we give you a wonderful experience. Things look more real.
The technology that we get from the likes of Intel enables us to make our games much, much more immersive. And that level of immersion is actually what's really important on Grid 2, involving the player in the experience, actually never letting them go.
If you compare the experience of playing Grid 2 on an Ultrabook, say, versus a desktop PC, you've got a great machine with an Ultrabook, all the portability, and you can take it anywhere.
The core experience is 100% intact. The great thing about the Ultrabook technology we see now is you really don't have to compromise in terms of the visual look of the game.
Codemasters have worked very closely with us at Intel to make sure that the out-of-the-box settings for Grid 2 are just spot on.
We don't want you to have to tweak loads of options, and that matches well with Intel's desire for the out-of-the-box settings. The options are there, you can jump in, you can tweak things if that suits you, but everybody should be able to pick it up, have a great experience straight off.
Working with Intel's been a really smooth experience so far. We're very quality focused and obviously have a real technical angle on the stuff that we do, and Intel understand that.
It's lovely working with someone like Codemasters. The people that we deal with on a day-to-day basis have so much knowledge of their game. We can bring ideas to them and they can give us such wonderful feedback. It's great for Intel to be getting that sort of in-depth knowledge of what developers actually want and how we can work with them.
The future of graphics will center around mostly around effects such as global illumination and just realistic lighting.
I think lighting is the most important part of getting a graphics scene to look right. A great photographer can take a great picture of a very ordinary object, and I think that the reason they can achieve that is because the lighting is interesting, the lighting is right, and I think that's what we've got to try and think about. And it makes the game look better. I think with Intel's 4th generation core processors, I think we're going to start to see great graphics coming from that hardware as is, without needing to buy dedicated graphics hardware. So by working with Intel, making the most of the technology and the extensions, we hope that we can bring those effects to be seen by a far wider audience by pushing that hardware. And we're really excited about the collaboration for the future.